In 2008, three complete strangers were put together with the hopes of creating the greatest Sony podcast ever heard. Today, unable to stop podcasting, the show survives as connoisseurs of dick and fart jokes. If you need Sony news, are not deaf, and don't want to die of boredom, maybe you can listen to BigRedBarel Blue.
Welcome, everybody, to, I don't know, do we call this episode 31 or 201? Bonus episode? No number at all? What do we do?
I say we just call it the PS4 episode.
Oh, episode PS4. Here we go.
Yep. Wow.
Frawlz, how's it going?
Sounds stupid. I'm doing all right, man. How have you been?
Not doing a podcast?
Yeah, how's that going for you?
It's pretty easy to not do something.
It really is. I had a whole extra hour a week. I got so much more accomplished.
You did exactly the same thing.
Exactly.
You were equally prepared. Pac-Man, how's it going with you in Canada?
It's going good. You know, got working the real world job situation is good. Health is good. Trying to get the new podcast off the floor, but because we named it the BigRedBarel podcast, we're having to
that was creative.
Be super careful in how we do the new show. So that's kind of taken longer than I wanted, but it's all good. It's all good playing lots of games. It's the PlayStation 4 is a good thing we're talking about it, because I need something to bring me back to PlayStation, because a lot of us have moved over to PC right now.
Well, the phrase of the day is the power of PlayStation 4. So would it be accurate to say this show came back for an episode due to the power of the PlayStation 4?
Yeah, the power of the PlayStation 4. It's great.
I think that's accurate. It is pretty powerful, and there are a bunch of games I wouldn't mind playing on the PlayStation.
I had a hunch they might just call it PlayStation, like just PlayStation.
No, I think Xbox is just going to be Xbox. I think they're going to go the iPod route.
We couldn't come up with anything, so it's just the Xbox.
It's like marketing's like, let's just change it. It saves money. Just change one letter. Keep everything the same.
Well, it's funny because they did some study to decide, somebody got paid to consider what names they should use, and no matter what they chose, people would still call it the PlayStation 4, so they get props for at least acknowledging that. So
it's got a brand recognition already all over the world, so why mess with it?
And I was surprised right out the gate, PS4, there's a PS4 logo. They were using it in their presentation today, so...
Would you think they were just going to be like, sorry, we weren't exactly prepared, but...
Well, I mean, they could have made sure to say PlayStation 4 every time. Just like my fiance used to work for Gerber, the knife company. They were not allowed to call it Gerber. They had to call it Gerber Legendary Blade. That's how they referred to it.
That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. So, I mean, yeah, Sony could have made sure everybody called it PlayStation 4, but they're fine either way. So... Anyway.
Well, I mean, think of it this way. I mean, there's so many, like, PlayStation 3 is still relevant that they have to distinguish between the two. If they say PlayStation, people automatically going to assume that's for both systems. Or the Vita.
Then people would be wrong.
Yeah, I know. So tell me about NeoGAF. Like, you were freaking out about that a little while ago.
Oh, it was just funny. I was looking for some action before.
You've got a hard-on for that website.
No. A lot of things leak there, and they are... you take any forum that you go to, and no matter how active you think it is, NeoGAF is probably multiples more active. And they had a thread going up to this event.
Think of any forum and think of this one as multiple more active.
No, I'm saying if you think your forum is active, this one's like 5 times more active. But this thread had 20,000 posts in it. And they had to finally just lock the thread and create a new one. And then the new one they created almost hit 10,000. That's 30,000 forum posts.
It was 20,000 before the presentation.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
And then another 9,000 starting the hour before, because the site was buckling. At one point, they had 12,000 people logged in concurrently. So, any web forum about gaming, you're a fraction of that active.
Yeah, it was a crazy day, and it was a good day too because the system's not out, but Sony announced their thing first,
and it's gorgeous. The system looks amazing.
Yeah, the system looks beautiful in my mind's eye. It's all side boob and heavy gloss.
There you go. Mine too. That's what I was picturing. Yeah, with the silicone cover. Got the real look and feel.
I'm confused.
They didn't show the console, Frawlz.
Oh, man. Okay, I thought I missed something. I was like freaking
You were just
out.
going with it. Wait, side boob? I missed it?
Exactly. I think I wouldn't stop touching it.
So I was frustrated. I had to be somewhere at the exact moment that this started. So I did my due diligence. I downloaded Ustream onto my LTE smartphone. I was going to, even if I couldn't watch it, I was going to listen to it in my car. Well,
Yeah, me too.
yeah, that didn't work. Ustream had over 500,000 people logged in, and I'm not making that number up. It was like
Nope.
520-some thousand, and it worked like ass. It was not good at all. I ended up having to wait. I missed like 40 minutes of it, and then I missed the end of it. And
I even logged into the Wi-Fi at work, which is about 30 megs down, and nothing came up. I looked at the amount of people still in there, and there were still 5,000 people looking at a blank screen. So
it was a damn fine blank screen.
Way to be prepared. Streaming media at its finest.
Well, we should probably get to some of the details, I guess.
Well, can I just say, I think it's funny that, and I told you this, that a company like Sony, a technology-based company that's investing so much in the cloud, can't get a streaming down straight.
Well, they went with Ustream, one of the biggest names in streaming. I don't know whose fault it was, but other companies were streaming from the event that didn't have the same issue. I think Ustream just got overwhelmed because that was the official stream.
Yeah, everyone was going there and it just buckled.
Yeah, Game Trailer stream seemed to work a lot better for me, but
Well, they have heavier bandwidth options, though, so...
It didn't really matter because all the PlayStation fans, every time something was mentioned, I got a blow-by-blow in email or Twitter for every single point. So even if I had wanted to miss it, I couldn't have missed anything.
Yep. Okay, so let's get to some of these specs. The first spec on the list is the one I think that probably makes me almost the happiest. It's the rumors were true. Sony did decide to go with 8 gigs of RAM for the new system. So that, Microsoft still has to announce theirs, but that's a massive increase from last gen, and I think that will allow a lot of nicer things to be done.
What's that,
in-game.
quadruple the amount?
Well, they had a split memory on the PS3. It's 256 general purpose RAM, 256 megs of graphics RAM. There were some tricks to use one as the other, but even if you counted it as just 512 megs, then it's 16 times the amount of memory.
But isn't there something special about the RAM that they use that's it's reserved for high-end video
Yeah, they're
cards
using
or something?
GDDR5, which is 5th generation graphics RAM, and I forget the exact number, but it's like 176 or 178 gigabytes per second that it can transfer. Now, that doesn't mean you can transfer 100 and that many gigabytes, because you have to transfer it somewhere, and nothing else is that fast. I mean, you can't transfer it over the network or to the hard drive, but that means that it's freaking fast RAM, like virtually instantaneous moving stuff around in RAM. So, yeah, damn.
Yeah. Wasn't because there was a rumor at one point that it was 4, wasn't there?
There was a rumor that the dev kits were 8 and the final unit would be 4, but they announced today that the final unit's going to have 8 gigs of RAM, and a unified RAM, so it's not split for dual purposes. It's all one chunk of RAM. And, they're going to cordon off a part of that probably for the operating system, just like, they did previously, and they didn't allocate enough. So hopefully they'll allocate plenty this time for lots of growing room in the future. A gig and a half or 2 gigs might not be a bad idea. That would give them room to implement all kinds of crap into the operating system.
Their architecture difference between the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 3 is significant. This PlayStation 4 is a lot more like a PC than a closed system.
It's a souped-up PC. Yep, I would agree with that. So going down the rest of the specs, they described it as a supercharged PC architecture with a single chip 8-core x86 CPU.
All right, let me ask you this before we go through the specs. Like, if you built this as a PC, how much would this cost you?
Well, it would be a lot, but some of these specs are kind of like out there on their own, and you can't really buy off-the-shelf equivalents. So,
all right,
to my knowledge, there's not an easy-to-get 8-core CPU right now. 6, I think, is the fastest, or the most the i7s go up to. But and it's a system on a chip put out by AMD. So, I mean, they got quite the coup. I think they're powering most of the console sys-gen. They call it a next-generation Radeon-based GPU. So they're not even getting specific what kind of GPU it's using, other than it's probably a...
It's just next generation. Just
it is, I guess. And, they went so far as to continue their trend with the PS3. On the PS4, there will be local hard drive storage, so developers can count on a hard drive for caching. Huge improvement, 6-speed Blu-ray drive. That's 3 times faster than the PS3's drive.
Thank God, because the amount of time it takes to load, install something from a disc is forever.
Yep. So now it will be 1/3 of forever.
Yes, which is still forever.
USB 3
if I do the math correctly.
USB 3 gigabit wireless 802.11 BGNN. So they seem to hit all the important buttons there, the bullet points. I mean,
yeah, and it does look. It's the old yarn about it'll be dated behind PCs in 6 years or whatever it is. But that's not a bad platform to build a system on. Like, that's all pretty top of the line, high end stuff.
Yep.
Even though they're not super specific on the exact products.
Well, I mean, take a look at how the PS3 compares to PCs now. I mean, you can outperform it, but look at a 7-year-old PC. I mean, the PS3 is comparing quite favorably to a PC that came out when it launched. So
yeah,
the people that are thinking...
there's always you can get more out of a console because it's built for specific things, whereas PC is a hands in every pie.
Right. So I think there is a large portion of people that think that no matter what, the PCs that are out now are still going to outperform it. I think that's a stretch. I think by the time this thing is 7 years old, sure, you can build a PC that will outperform it, but it should compare favorably to PCs when it launches.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, is when you buy a PC, like Pac-Man said, it's got its hand in different types of pot. It's got to do many, many different things well. A PS3 only has to do one thing well. And that's do what a PlayStation 4 is supposed to do. That's it. It's just whatever it's designed to do. And, and the best thing is like having a console over a PC is the fact that whatever game you purchase, it's going to run for that machine. You don't have to upgrade it or anything like that. And the developers can learn the machine instead of having to develop for multiple different PCs. They're developing for one, which, brings down cost and development time as well as stress, and it allows them to do a lot more tricks because they know it's only going to work on one thing. So
yep,
it doesn't really making the comparison isn't really fair.
Well, people do it though.
People do it. I mean, there's going to be a lot of comparisons. I mean, people are already comparing what we found out today to the rumors about Durango. So that's already kind of crazy.
And it's funny. This generation is, and I was looking at the trailers with you guys and all that stuff. And talking to Sony, and I actually had a few conversations with people at Sony a few months ago. They're more story driven this time around. They're not looking to compete when it comes to they're looking to get the gamers who want an amazing experience. Unlike Microsoft, which is looking to get everybody involved and looking to take over the living room, Sony's trying to tell a story with their video games, and you can tell with their launch titles. That's the biggest thing that separates them. So when Microsoft comes out with their Kinect with 18 different eyes, and everybody will be able to dance in front of it. Yeah, it'll get people move around. But if you want an amazing experience in like a movie-like environment, PlayStation is going to be definitely the way to go. Especially the exclusive titles. So
I guess.
So
I think you're full of shit, Frawlz.
What? I'm trying to be a fanboy right now. It's not.
You did a good job
guys
of it
shoot me down on a PlayStation podcast. You're like, I don't think so.
Well, I'm just looking at the lineup of games they showed, and a lot of that looks like action. Anyway, whatever.
I do hope they focus on games more than what I'm seeing at the end of the 360, where it's just, they've tossed games aside and now it's just entertainment that they're chasing.
Yeah, it just seems like the current Xbox idea is to molest the living room until we all just accept it.
That's bad.
That is bad. That is bad. But
all right, DualShock 4. There's another official name. It is the DualShock 4. The mock-ups or the developer kit controllers that we saw, those were probably mostly all legit because they look very similar to the final unit. It's got move support built in. Frawlz, you'll be excited to know 6-axis is a part of the controller. So that was your favorite part of last gen. It's still there.
I only used it for one game.
Which one?
Heavenly Sword, because you had to open doors with it.
Yeah. There is, after all, a dedicated share button that you can push to share up to 15 minutes of your previously viewed footage. You can trim the videos through a rudimentary video editor right on the console, or you can just upload them. I'm assuming they never mentioned YouTube. They currently have a partnership with YouTube, but they've mentioned Facebook and Ustream numerous times, so those guys will be supported. It's got a touchpad. It's not a touch screen. We were talking about this before we recorded. If you read the spec of the controller, the touchpad is clickable. So it's a lot like if you have one of the Sony Google TV units, how the remote has a touchpad. You can move it around and then click to simulate a mouse click. That'll be right on the controller. Has a built-in speaker like the mock-ups we've seen. There is a headphone jack. We were able to confirm through the European PlayStation blog. Frawlz, this is your answer to last gen's quiet multiplayer gaming. There will be a headset included with every PS4 sold.
Yay!
Booyah.
That's
Booyah.
7 years too late.
You know what else I like about the one thing I was just thinking about the touchpad and the ability to sort of sort of like a mini mouse, a little mouse touchpad on a laptop is you can sort of draw like with a mouse. That might actually allow them to finally get some strategy games on the PS4, even if it's not the same size as a mouse and keyboard. Like I can see the touchpad helping with getting RTSs on consoles.
I don't think you'll be able to do that with that little tiny thing. Like my thumb
I don't think it would. You couldn't use it as a mouse per se, but you could use it for a lot of little smart functions that are kind of a pain to do with a controller on its own. But I mean, the everyone in multiplayer having a headset, f***ing A.
There's also a speaker on the controller. Oh, go ahead, Frawlz.
What? I said I think they put it on so you can download Vita titles and not feel left out.
Yeah, but the Vita touchpad's on the back. This is on the front. It doesn't make sense to substitute.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where it is at.
Well, sure.
The worst thing about it is the launch titles and all of the melee slashes we'll have to do across the touchpad. Oh, I want a melee. Oh, I gotta change ammo. Like that stuff. That stuff isn't convenient. It's just annoying.
Yeah, but most of the games you play that have to change ammo, you just push a button. Now you're gonna slide your finger on a trackpad. It's the same motion.
It's not as fun. Like the
I want to slide instead of push. I want to slide instead of push. That feels better. I just reloaded with my 2 fingers.
A couple other things about the controller. It supports PlayStation Move. There's a light, color-changing light right on the controller that the PlayStation 4 Eye can sense. That's the actual name of the new camera. And they also indicated that, how the DualShock 3 has the little 1, 2, 3, 4 LEDs. The color will signify which player is which. So there won't be a player 1, player 2, player 3. There'll be like a player green, player red, player blue. And so that plays double duty for your player identifier and motion tracking. And
do you think that they're going to make you put a wrist strap on it?
No.
The controller?
No.
Are you sure?
No, you can still use the regular Move controllers with the PlayStation 4. That was confirmed by Media Molecule. But there's nothing about the technology that PlayStation Move uses that says the color has to be a sphere. That was just a very useful shape for them to use with the PlayStation Move controller, but this will actually sense spatial location of the DualShock 4, and the PlayStation 4i is a stereo camera, so it has improved depth perception, and it can sense when one is in front or behind the other, like if you're playing multiplayer close together. So
sweet.
I think that there's a lot of use for that that's probably not readily apparent. It's not going to be let's play Just Dance 5 with DualShock 4s, but gestures like the 6-axis functionality that we were all tried to be, they tried to sell us on when the PlayStation 3 launched. There's no reason that can't be incredibly precise now, and there's probably more things that they can do with it that we're not even thinking of. So.
Yeah, well, it's just like anything else. The coolest stuff with motion controls, still hasn't happened on the consoles that spawn them. Like Kinect's cool stuff and PlayStation Move's cool stuff is stuff people have modded and did stuff that people weren't expecting. So I think the coolest stuff using that technology is still a ways out.
Well, another thing that they pointed out was since it's a dual camera unit, just like the human eyes, it sees in 3D, and that enables it when it's doing motion tracking to kind of differentiate you from the background, because it's able to do that depth perception and see the difference between you and the picture or the wall or whatever behind you. So
one step closer to the holodeck.
One step. So, and my absolute most favorite freaking change is that it uses USB micro instead of USB mini.
I know. You're excited.
Nice.
Why, Rothbart? Why are you so excited?
Because everything I use, except for PlayStation controllers, already uses PlayStation Micro, and I have to keep the USB Micro.
So bad.
And I have to keep the USB mini cords around just for those.
Do you think they would have upgraded that like halfway through the life cycle?
You would have thought. there's nothing functionally different. They could have come out with a model that just came with a different charger cord, but they didn't.
That would have been nice. But
it is a nice welcome change.
Yes. They also announced virtually every third-party developer, has signed on to develop for the PlayStation 4. So there's no point listing it, because it would be easier to list the ones that aren't.
Yeah, but we pretty much knew that. And it should be said that it is a larger list than said that they would sign on with Wii U.
It was a very packed graphic. They had this large screen with all these logos in it, and there had to be like 60 of them or something. It was a lot. So, Frawlz, we're going to talk about some games now, but...
Did we talk about Gaikai?
Oh,
who?
Wow, we skipped right over that, didn't we? Wow, we skipped over a few. Never mind. They announced the PlayStation Store.
You're a little rusty, man.
They're using their Gaikai purchase wisely, because it's not a one-trick pony. They're using it in a lot of places. So on the PlayStation 4, presumably you're looking through the store, you see a game you want to play, you push a button, and you're playing that game before you buy it. If you like it, you buy it, it downloads while you're still playing that game that you never downloaded. It's streaming the game for you immediately while it downloads the rest. And I have to say, damn.
Yep, that's a smart way to use the cloud.
And I've been complaining about downloading and having to get updates and all that crap forever. And it's so nice to see that they actually did something that people didn't even expect when it came to it. They went above and beyond on that one.
For you, Frawlz, we'll ensure that when you look at your firmware update message, that it's already starting to update your firmware while it's downloading the rest of the firmware in the background.
Well, didn't they say that they want to go by prediction? So if I never turn it on, they're probably going to be like, this guy doesn't even care.
They're going to sell you an empty shell banking on the fact that you never turn it on.
They're not going to give me a power cord.
They'll be able to use the cloud to cover up a lot of rough spots that we've all gotten used to, and make it so that you don't even realize it's happening.
We never even got to see the interface either, did we?
There were a couple still shots that they showed, but who knows how indicative that is of everything. But a couple other weird things that they showed. They're going the social route, which always scares me when people say they want to make it a more social experience, because I'm not an overly social person. But you're going to be able to allow your friends to spectate while you're gaming. So, Frawlz, everybody that questions whether you game or not, you can just load up a pack of them on your friends list, and they can sit back and watch you update your firmware.
That'd be awesome. Would you really want to watch me game, though?
But people could watch you game. But here's the most important part. If you get stuck, you can have a buddy log on and watch you and tell you what you're doing wrong. And here's the super ultra Frawlz version. If even after getting help you still can't do it, you can transfer control to your friend. Your friend could get you by the tough spot and then give you back control of your game. So it's like WebEx for gaming.
That's so cheating, man. That's not even cool.
Well, they're going to have to temper trophies. You can't let somebody earn a trophy for you.
But there's a lot of ways that could be used in different ways. Like the ability for your friends to see what you're playing, to chat about the games you're playing, have them jump in and out. Like, that's going to be really sick for a lot of multiplayer games.
And you can spectate on games you don't own. So I could watch Pac-Man play Killzone 4 on crazy hard difficulty because I would never in my life do it. I couldn't.
And I'm going to do that.
And I know you're going to do it. So.
Yeah, no, it's going to be crazy. I'm excited for you.
The Vita is finally getting some purposes besides, just its standalone use. Their goal is to have all PlayStation 4 games remote play support directly to the Vita. So just like, a big selling point of the Wii U, somebody comes, wants to use the TV, you just pop the game from your TV onto the Wii U controller. Well, you're going to be able to do that with the Vita as well. And then they also announced backwards compatibility for PS3 games is not going to be natively available in the unit, but they're going to be working on a project using the Gaikai tech to stream it. And they're hoping to eventually not just stream PS3 titles, but PS2 and PS1 titles, and potentially titles from other platforms. Who knows? So that's
which is sweet, and it takes the bite out of them saying no native backwards compatibility.
It really does.
Because I don't really care how they give me backwards compatibility as long as they give it to me.
I did read a rumor that they were coming out with 2 different price points of PlayStation 4s, and it seems silly that hard drive space would be the only difference. Somebody proposed that the $100 more version might be something that ships with a cell processor for built-in backwards compatibility. If that were the case for $100, I'd probably buy it. But
really,
they haven't announced that. I mean, that's what they did with the PlayStation 3. The early ones had the Emotion Engine, which was the custom chip from the PlayStation 2. It was a vastly different architecture, and they had a chip in there to handle the emulation. So,
yep.
It's a possibility.
But backwards compatibility is we all knew that it wouldn't be just boom. You can just do it easy peasy, no problem.
Well, because the cell processor is so vastly different than the x86 architecture. Yeah,
But as long as they do it, it's all good. And the people who are worried that there be absolutely no backwards compatibility, and we know it was a justified fear to a certain extent. I'm glad that didn't happen.
Yep. All right, Frawlz, we're going to talk about games now, and this first one has got to be up your alley because I know you're a huge Media Molecule fan. You've loved all the Little Big Planet stuff that's come out. That's totally up your alley. They showed off a tech demo where they were doing some sculpting, because I know you've always wanted to do 3D virtual sculpting,
that's
right?
What my hands are for. That's why God gave me these
and then,
giant meat mittens.
And then, on top of that, puppeteering.
Booyah.
What?
Yeah, they did puppeteering. I'm telling you this because I know you didn't see the video. It was simultaneously the most awesome and the most painfully embarrassing thing to watch at the same time.
I think you literally wrote to me while this is going. You go, what? Period. The period. Period. While
I think that's what I typed. They had these marionettes, and you could see the guys in the background moving the PlayStation Move controllers while these characters were moving on screen, and they were playing out this emotional little dance number. And I was thinking to myself, that's pretty cool that they can do that. But then I was also thinking, why would you want to do that? And
did it not remind you of that Mario music game that they launched in the Wii?
Well, no, it wasn't that bad. But then the guy walks over and picks up a virtual guitar, and all these virtual instruments and background set and other players pop up. Now, they said that this was done in one take, recorded live. They had a freaking rock concert with these marionettes. And if you set out to have a marionette rock concert, I can't imagine it going much better, but that's assuming that's what you would set out to do.
Yeah, that's not on my bucket list.
You know you're going to do that, Pac-Man. Anyway, I don't doubt that their tech will lead to some cool stuff. So I don't know. They said they spent 2 years doing it. I didn't see a game there. So I don't know.
Spent 2 years on a tech demo. This is what we got.
What's that, Frawlz?
So they spent 2 years making a tech demo, and they're like, yep, this is what we got. Throw it out there.
Well, another one that left me scratching my head a little bit was, I was excited that Evolution Studios was actually presenting. I was not excited when I saw what they presented. It was not another MotorStorm game. They presented a game called Drive Club, which they say is their decade-long dream to introduce a team racing game. And
it's like, it hasn't been done before. We're going to revolutionize the industry.
They were talking about how, insanely detailed their recreations of these vehicles were, and they insisted on using cockpit views so you could realistically simulate driving these vehicles. I personally hate racing in cockpit view.
You deserve to be sitting on the cock.
It was just a huge... I don't know. I got nothing out of it. What about you, Pac-Man?
Honestly... I just, when it comes to racers, no matter how many have come out and I've played, it's basically Forza and Gran Turismo for me.
That's why, I'm not surprised that Gran Turismo wasn't shown, because they're never a launch title and they're always late. But it had that look, but it wasn't Gran Turismo. So,
I just learned over, however many years Gran Turismo's out, and there's, we've got a good number of years with Forza out on 360. I've got, I've owned MotorStorm, I've owned Midnight Club, I've owned, a couple other the racers, Blur and a few others. But in the end, all I ever really play in terms of getting my money's worth out of a purchase is Forza or Gran Turismo. And when the PlayStation 4 comes out, I probably won't invest in any racing game for any significant amount until Gran Turismo 6 comes out. Like, Drive Club just doesn't really pique my interest at all.
No, Forza's fun. Project Gotham Racing was a blast. Gran Turismo, if you want to talk like a racing simulation true to form, I can see you waiting for GTA, but, you can't... If you want a next-generation title and this is launching, you're going to buy this game. And they needed something like this, and you can't wait for GT. So
I'm not... I doubt I'll buy it.
I don't know. Launching a new IP for a driving game seems kind of risky to me, because the market is really it's really Forza and Gran Turismo, and then you look at sales, and the next games close to them are really, really far down the list. I don't know. I'm not jazzed for a driving game.
Okay, well then let's talk about one more game we're not jazzed about, and then we'll get to all the games we were jazzed about.
I'm so jazzed.
So, Jonathan Blow, the guy that made Braid,
Blow.
He is a very pretentious guy that comes off thinking very highly of himself. He's got a game called The Witness, and it starts out, the footage that they showed starts out with a stump that's got a record player in it, and it starts playing this weird music as the camera floats through this very brightly colored forest, and somehow I think it's a puzzle adventure game, and he really was kind of condescending to the other game developers when he presented on stage, and I just wish he and his games would go away.
Yeah, but have you ever seen Indie Gamer?
I have not watched that yet. If he's in it, I will continue to not watch it.
What? Yeah, no, he's definitely in it, but you see how much of a tool bag he is.
I can tell how much of a tool bag he is.
Oh my god! It's almost to the fact that like because they're all weird in the movie, but like this guy in particular, every time he's on screen, you're like, just go away, just stop, go away. But he made Braid, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
I wonder how long he's going to be able to milk that. Because The Witness has sparked zero interest.
It really did. And I don't even understand what The Witness means in terms of the game I saw. I didn't witness anything.
It looks like something like the unfinished Swan crap.
What? Like Swan crap?
So artsy.
What? Tell me more.
It's so artsy. You're not supposed to understand it, but play it anyway. Okay.
Hey, I see another topic we skipped in the hardware section. It's just a tidbit. The PlayStation 4 apparently will recognize your face and let you log in with your face. And
that's not your face.
Frawlz, I challenge you to teach it to log you in from recognizing something else.
I'll have it recognize the head of my penis.
Well, it does not have a macro lens.
There's no zoom function.
Get closer. I'm right next to it.
They showed this little game called Infamous Second Son.
Booyah! Looks fucking sweet.
So we were worried that they couldn't figure out a way to make another Infamous without making it a prequel. They proved us wrong. Thank God. And it looks like it takes place in Seattle.
And I like how they did it.
Yes, it looks very cool. They didn't go for the hyper-realistic graphics. It still looks kind of stylized, but, I mean, all-around improvements in graphical fidelity. I'm very excited. I don't even care what the story is. I'm going to buy it. You take my money, Sony.
And basically the deal is it's a new Infamous game, new city, new location, new powers, and it's a new main character.
And it looks badass.
It does. It looks badass. And Rothbart and I were talking before the show that we're both kind of glad that Infamous has become one of PlayStation's core brands. Because outside of people like Kev, who for whatever reason doesn't like Infamous, but somehow likes Spider-Man: Web of Shadows, Infamous is a great series. I'm glad it's going to be. It looks like it'll be a launch window title.
Yep.
Take that, Kev.
Frawlz?
Yes.
You didn't
I
see the
didn't
video.
see the trailer yet. So
yeah. Did you like Infamous?
I didn't play it, actually.
You didn't?
No, I never played Infamous.
You ever heard of the PlayStation 3?
I've seen it.
Okay, there was another game they announced. It's a little something called Killzone Shadowfall.
Ooh, that sounds interesting.
So you take...
Tell me about that.
You take the level of detail of Killzone, you strip out all the brown, you put it in a brightly lit...
You're so racist!
brightly lit futuristic city with an incredible draw distance and an even more incredible amount of background action and detail. Stick over the top action set pieces, and it looks very, 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 very cool. I'm excited.
And you can still take on the form of the opposite team.
I have a feeling this is going to beat Puppet Master 5. Want to make a bet?
No.
Only if you're betting chairs.
But again,
Chairs?
I'm glad to see Killzone is back, because everyone knows I played the hell out of Killzone 2, Killzone 3. Killzone was the only series that I ever specifically always set out to get platinums in, because I love that series. And maybe it wasn't the Halo killer or whatever bullshit we wanted it to be back in the day, but the Killzone games, even now, are two of the best looking games of the PlayStation 3 generation. I mean, they're good-looking games.
Hands down, I played it like 2 or 3 weeks ago, not even, and I'm still blown away by the graphics of a game that came out 2
and the
years
map
ago.
design, multiplayer map design in that game, in Killzone 2 and Killzone 3 was sweet. I mean, all they really got to do is really come to the board with a really robust multiplayer suite and a single-player campaign that hits some high notes, and it could really be a sick launch title.
Let me ask you this, Rothbart. Do you think Sony should, right off the bat, launch a bundle?
Well, they probably will.
Well, they will.
No. I mean, because they usually don't. They have I'm talking like a Killzone.
They try to keep the price low at the beginning, so they don't do a bundle right off the bat. So my guess is, maybe they will do a bundle, or maybe they'll leave it to stores to bundle. But my guess is, you might get a PSN title out of the box, but I don't know.
I could see, at least one of their first party titles being bundled with a console. I don't know how much bigger it would get than that. I could see them having a console and a game, and then having littler bundles for accessories.
Because I can totally see them having like a launch PlayStation 4, a launch Killzone 4 title,
Not in the box. It's going to warrant a purchase. They're not going to throw that one in right away.
No. I'm not saying throw it in. I'm saying like a branded, a bundled branded, type of PlayStation 4 with Killzone written on it, like a limited edition.
I doubt they would do that right off the bat, because my guess is if this thing delivers And if the price comes in at less than $5.99, they're going to have trouble keeping the shelves stocked.
And it certainly wouldn't be a game called Killzone, because there's no way Sony would launch a new product and have their main bundle be a game called Killzone.
I'm not saying every one. I'm saying like a limited edition.
Because they're going for mass market. They're looking for publicity and everything. They wouldn't want that sort of publicity attached to it.
You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of we need to get to the next game because it's freaking amazing.
Yeah, now let's do this.
This is my third-party game of the show. I've seen it before the show. I saw it during the show, and I want it right now. Watch Dogs.
Melon Burst 2.0. What?
Watch Dogs, which oddly, at the time of recording, is a pre-order price of $99.99 on Amazon.com, sold from and fulfilled by Amazon.com, not some price gouging sub-retailer.
And Pac-Man put it on his wish list.
Please tell me these games will not be $100.
Oh, that's a good question. Would you pay less for a console? Like, if this console came out at $250, but all the games cost $100, would you be happy with that?
I would kick someone in the nuts because I buy a lot of games. The games, it's razors and blades. Don't make the games cost a fortune and sell me a cheap razor. I mean, no.
I was saying though. I mean, the price of games is going to go up. Now, whether or not it comes in a hard price bump, from 60 to 80, or does it stay at 60 and then we get $40 of nickel and dimed, or probably more than $40 worth of nickel and dime microtransactions and DLC? Like, which way do we want them to go? Like, I personally, if I could avoid all the nasty bullshit DLC and microtransactions and just paid $80 for the big AAA titles that I want to play and I want the whole experience, I pay $80. $100 is a little high, but if paying that $100 meant I got every little bit of DLC, extra pack thing, whatever that came with the game, I would consider that.
No.
But $80 would be a lot of money, but I would rather pay the $80 than pay more than $80 worth of stuff for microtransactions.
You go to the movies just yourself. I don't know what it's like in Canada, but it's $15 to $17.
That's
right?
because you live in freaking Expensiville, dude. $6 here for me alone.
Well, yeah, I'm with Frawlz. It's really, really expensive to go to the movies here.
You still call them flicks because it flicks in front of you, right?
Moving pictures.
Tune in next week for the next adventure of the Lone Ranger.
So here's the deal. They get $10 from me and I'll be pissed. They can raise the price to $70 and I'll be pissed. Any more than that, I mean, I get what you're saying, Pac-Man, because you buy all the DLC. I don't buy all the DLC. I don't play multiplayer. I don't buy all the maps. I would be pissed if they expect me to pay $80 regularly for a game because, and it's, you guys, Frawlz, you're saying just the AAA titles. Then you get in, if you've got multiple price points, you've got Joe Schmo developer coming out with a game that thinks that their game is a AAA title. There's no official AAA ranking. All of a sudden, mediocre titles are priced at $80 and...
But we're already seeing that, like, this next generation, like, generation we're already in, you're seeing a lot more games come out at the $40 price point. You know what I mean? They've developed this sort of in-between AAA, but bigger than an indie space. And I think on the PlayStation 4, you'll see really, you'll see all the sort of mobile-style cheap games. You'll see $20 games. You'll see $40 games. You'll see $60 games. And then you'll see the really high-end, expensive, full-package AAA games. Like, there's... it's not going to be AAA games like it is now and then indie games, and not really a lot of in between.
Well, this is the first and only time you'll hear me use this argument, but Next Gen started last November with the Wii U and they charge $60 for their high-end games, so f*** them if they want more money than $60.
Wait, are you really comparing to Wii U games?
Stop. We're done.
No, you can't say this is the last time and then walk away. No, you can't just drop the mic.
I'm done.
Wii U, you.
The mics have been dropped.
Yes. Watch Dogs, day one purchase, and Amazon, Ubisoft, go away from the speaker for a minute. I would pay $100 probably for that game. But just that one.
For Watch Dogs.
And it better come with a happy ending, all kinds of DLC, voucher for a buffet dinner or something like that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the thing is, whatever the price point is, we need to start seeing what exactly you get for that money.
Agreed. I'm not pre-ordering now in February of 2013 for $100. And anybody that says they did,
quality instead of quantity.
And the other thing is, we don't know anything about price points for their main releases. Like that could be a mistake. It could just be a benchmark price that they're putting, and they could go down.
Ugh. Anyway, moving on. Capcom teased a game with the working title Deep Down. Don't get excited, Frawlz. It looked like a hack and slash with Skyrim-esque graphics, notched up a few levels. It looked really cool. You know virtually nothing about the game other than you can select weapons and you're fighting dragons in caves.
I like the dragon. He didn't look, classic Tolkien or whatever. He looked kind of, I don't know, he looked unique. He looked kind of messed up.
Yep. It looked good.
But the thing about Capcom is,
they're irrelevant. That's what you were looking for.
Capcom's track record with games is like they either make a really good game or they make a really game, and sometimes there's not a lot of in between. Like they either get it right or they get it wrong, and their buckshot approach to video game development always makes me a little wary.
My problem with Capcom is they're so Japanese. It's not even funny. Like every Capcom game is just like ridiculously Japanese.
That is racist, Frawlz.
Yeah, totally
That's not racist. You just wanted to take all the brown people out of Killzone.
I said the brown colors.
Sorry, you're too dark for this game. Move along.
Anyway, Square Enix, in all their wisdom, they had stage presence at the Sony presser. What did they decide to do? They decided to show a trailer that they showed us last June and say, oh yeah, it's PlayStation 4 running that. That was so retarded. They wasted like 3 minutes of our time showing us a video they showed us 8 months ago.
Like, yeah, it's nice to know for officially that it's running on the PlayStation 4, but it's not. We've already seen that, dude.
Yeah, at least Watch Dogs showed us different footage than they showed us before.
Watch Dog had me the minute he got on that train and it was traveling around. I'm like, oh, it's got a train. I'm sold.
Which reminded you of Infamous a little bit. Anybody? It looks like Infamous with Google Glasses. That's what I was trying to say to you before. Is just walk around Google Glasses.
But I don't understand where you got the Google Glasses from, because he wasn't seeing a HUD. That was just for our purpose of seeing what was going on in the game, and he didn't have glasses on.
You mean to tell me, like, so I could tell, like, the homeless guy, it said Iraq veteran. Like, you don't think he could see that?
Yeah, he could see it on his phone, because he was using his phone to hack all that information. That's why he had his phone in his hand.
He's using Google Glasses.
A big high-profile announcement.
He's in a hangout right now.
Didn't do much for me, but maybe did for some people, and I guess it angered a lot of people. Was Blizzard announced Diablo 3 for the PS3 and PlayStation 4, and that it's coming with full-screen 4-player co-op. They dubbed it One Couch to Rule Them All. No split screen. All 4 players on the screen at once. I don't know why it's such a big deal that Blizzard is finally coming to a console, and why they haven't before, and why people are angry. I understand why they're angry, but I don't see it. They're angry that Diablo 4 was designed with the console in mind, and that the PC gamers didn't get the interface they should have gotten. But
watch, it's gonna look like Gauntlet. Remember,
it should look just like the PC version. I just don't understand what limitation other than a decision kept them from ever putting Diablo on a console.
That's true. But I mean, 4 players. Can you know, talking about Gauntlet, that game, like Elf needs food bad.
I remember Gauntlet. I was probably playing it when you were a kid.
Yeah, that's what I picture when I think of that. Like 4 players, third person view. Well, it is a
dungeon crawler, loot, hack and slash and loot.
It is cool that they're going to tap into the console market, and if of any of Blizzard's games, Diablo will fit on consoles just fine. I mean, it's a 4-player co-op hack and slash game, and it'll work just fine on the consoles. The PC gamers who are pissed off they're complaining about a completely made up issue. Like Blizzard did not hold back or change the UI or everything, knowing that they were eventually going to go to console or anything bullshit about that at all. Like, that's just not possible. But the thing about the Diablo 3 is, yeah, they're going to tap into a new market, and yeah, for your first couple playthroughs, it's a great experience. But Diablo 3 has been out a while, And a lot of the stuff that they promised us that was part of the reason we all liked Diablo 3 to begin with was, the possibility of, a robust PvP setup. And that stuff still isn't in the game. And there's not really a lot of endgame content in that stuff. Like, there's how they're going to do the real money auction house on consoles is a question. But I think they'll make some money off of it. If they put Diablo 3 on the PS4 and the PS3 and it's still a $50 game or even a $45 game, that's kind of a jack move. It's kind of a jack.
Well, the last third-party vendor they brought out, they felt was kind of a coup. They had to say quite a few times, not available on PlayStation. You've never been able to play their games on PlayStation. Blah 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 blah. Activision trotted out Bungie and announced that Destiny will be both a PS3 and a PS4 version, and that they're going to have some content exclusive to the PlayStation, which probably they'll make the same announcement for Microsoft's new Xbox. Each platform will get its own stuff, but
it's an MMO, which is like if it just came out for the PlayStation 3 at the very end of its life cycle and it comes out for the PlayStation 4, how much time would you devote to an MMO? Now that it's on both consoles, you can carry that stuff over. That's awesome. That makes me feel a whole lot better about my purchase, knowing that there's going to be a massive install base right off the bat, even if I just decide to go with a PlayStation 4.
I think you're wrong.
I just killed the conversation. What? How am I wrong?
Is it an MMO? I wouldn't call it an MMO. They kept calling it a first-person shooter, but I mean, I know it's got persistent elements. But
I don't know where he's getting the MMO
from. Wait. Did you say Beyond?
No, I said Destiny.
Destiny is the Bungie game. It's an MMO /
Well, they
shooter.
called it a first-person shooter. I know they're trying to make it accessible from all sorts of devices.
No, it doesn't sound like an MMO. It sounds like an RPG, is what it sounds like.
Have you guys not watched the behind-the-scenes stuff? It's an MMO. You're
starting to doubt yourself.
Go back and watch it. Why do I feel more educated than you guys? What happened in the 2 months we haven't talked?
You convinced yourself you were more educated than us.
Wait, are we talking about Beyond?
The thing with Destiny is it looks like to me it looks like Halo, but they want the Mass Effect RPG universe to play around in, and all those sort of RPG elements. They're going to add some sort of social function, but it looks like a futuristic world with RPG elements. But it seems like the whole universe is like Fallout. So instead of playing Fallout on one world, you're going to play. You're going to go to all sorts of war-torn worlds all over the galaxy, and like that could be cool. The budget for this game is going to be insane.
I heard the lead character's name is Sergeant, Master Sergeant. No? Okay.
That was a Street Fighter reference?
No.
Was that a Beyond
Master
reference?
Chief. Instead, they call it...
Was it Gears of War reference?
No.
Metroid?
I was trying to, they're Bungie, so they name it kind of like Master Chief, but not really, so it's... Alright. Anyway. This is why I'm trying too hard, I think. I'm trying.
I'm never recording with you again.
You said that last time.
All right, so they announced a lot of good stuff. We were talking about this before the show. They didn't really announce anything that was bad. The worst thing they did was not announce a lot of stuff. So the stuff that they did announce was good. They left a lot of questions unanswered. They showed us the controller, but they never showed us the system. There's no, I'm guessing there's no final form that they've decided on yet. So it was interesting for them to show us a launch of a system they didn't show us.
Yeah, and there's definitely going to be a couple more big press events, and we still have E3, which will probably be when they drop the dime on the launch window and exactly what everything's going to be. Like, I could see them waiting until the last minute to drop the firm price, and they drop the full list of their launch titles.
Well, they're probably waiting to hear what the competition does. We were talking about that earlier.
Like Sony announced their system first. They're going to wait and see what Xbox says about Durango before they stop dropping more hard points, because they still have room to maneuver to sort of counter what Microsoft does. And
well, one thing
versa.
they do have going for them is they've got Gaikai. They bought into a cloud streaming solution. Microsoft didn't buy anybody. They're going to have to roll their own if they want to match that functionality.
They don't need to, though.
And Sony's got a relatively cheap, standardized handheld platform in the Vita, whereas Microsoft has the Surface, which nobody I know owns a Surface. So, I mean, it's not like that is a widely sold singular platform for them to target. So there's a lot of functionality that Sony hasn't announced, but the stuff that they have announced largely can differentiate it from the competition. There's the second screen stuff that kind of looks like the Wii U. I've played with the Wii U. The Vita screen is nicer than the Wii U controller screen. The Vita is more powerful than the Wii U controller. The PlayStation 4 is more powerful than the Wii U. There's a better infrastructure and more features available to the PlayStation system. So I think they're outdoing the functions that I've seen so far on the Wii U, and I don't see how Microsoft has a counter yet. So I'm sure there is a lot of waiting to see what's coming down the pike before they cement everything. But I think that's a good thing.
Gaikai is going to be a big thing. PlayStation having the jump on a really big cloud service.
It still does remain to be seen. I'm impressed with the amount of acceptance Gaikai is getting from people. People just seem to assume that streaming PS3 games for backwards compatibility will just work perfectly. It'll remain to be seen once it launches and when it launches, because it won't be when the PS4 launches, whether it actually works like they're saying. But David Perry came out on the stage and said they officially greenlit the project to go full steam ahead to stream PS3 games for backwards compatibility. Which reminds me of something I forgot to put on the agenda. A lot of people are really upset at the notion that they're going to have to buy all their PS3 games again. I don't know where this is coming from. Even if you're streaming a PS3 game from a server, Sony could easily make your PlayStation 4 with a Blu-ray drive validate that you've got the game and then stream the game from their server. You don't...
Yeah, but the way I look at it would be a subscription base. So you pay $50 a month and you can stream unlimited amount of PlayStation 3 games.
Number one, I doubt that anybody... Well, that's a lot of money per month. Some people would pay it.
Well, not per month. Maybe like $100 a year. Something
I bet
like
it will
that.
be behind a pay service, yes. But what I'm saying, though, is you can probably, if you've got PlayStation 3 games on disc, you will probably be able to play those games through some backwards compatibility solution that Sony sells that does not involve you repurchasing all those games.
Right.
And the reality is, a bunch of people like Rothbart and myself, we've started to take advantage of buying games outright on the PlayStation Store. I've got Infamous 1 and 2 and a bunch of other games, full games, attached to my PlayStation account.
Word.
So let me ask you this. So right now, PlayStation Plus is basically $50, right? And the regular playing online is free. Do you think that it's going to remain free, or do you think they're going to turn into a pay service and up the quality? Because the amount of servers it's going to cost to just do the downloads for everybody. Streaming media, streaming all this stuff. Do you think it's going to remain a free service, or do you think everything's going to turn to PS Plus?
Well, you're being kind of vague. I think you'll be able to play multiplayer games with your friends without having to pay any money. But I think if you want to use some of the bigger services, you have to buy a package that comes with Netflix or whatever, a bunch of other things. I could just see them taking the next step with what they did with PlayStation Plus. But I think Sony will be smart if they make sure that at the ground level, unlike Xbox this generation, that you can always play all the have all the multiplayer functionality between your games be free, and all the extras be what you charge for. And I think it would be some sort of tiered system. Like, will you pay a couple bucks so that you can have more streaming capabilities with the cloud? Will you pay an extra couple bucks for different extras, but I don't think it'll be one singular
I think tiers
price.
is the way they're going to go. Multiple tiers, different price points. Okay, we're running out of time, but I did want to briefly mention the other things that we don't know. We don't know a specific release date. They said holiday 2013. I don't know if you remember back. They slipped by about 6 months on the PS3's announced launch date and the actual launch date. We don't know what hard drive sizes.
Rumors November, though.
We don't know how big the hard drives are going to be. I'd love to see a terabyte. We don't know what the thing looks like. We mentioned that before. We don't know what teams like Naughty Dog or the Polyphony Digital, we don't know what they're working on. We did not get a Vita price drop like Japan did last week. We were rumored, a lot of people suspected PS4 announcement would be a PS3 price drop. That also didn't happen. And there were a lot of rumors talking about what we were just talking about, the PlayStation Plus upgrades and something called PlayStation World. They're going to have to announce that stuff at a future date. So,
well,
but I'm
a lot
just
of
given
stuff up in the
how
air.
smart and how well PlayStation Plus played, I'm willing to give Sony the benefit of the doubt when it comes to their online services and pricing.
I've been pleasantly impressed.
I think they're going to be carrying a lot more bandwidth now, since they're devoting a lot more to the cloud. Especially, they're going to be doing a lot more
falls
voice
farther
services.
and farther behind in the internet. The next generation is going to cost me $1 zillion a month.
Just get a really long Ethernet cable.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Just hurl it over the net. Where are you? I know you're in Canada, but where in Canada are you again? You're on
Ottawa.
Ottawa. Okay.
How far from the U.S. is that?
It's like what, 3 hours?
How far from the U.S.? I don't know. I could hit the border in
That's
less
a
than a
freaking
day.
long Ethernet cable.
Yeah, I don't think it goes that far. I think Ethernet goes what?
100 yards without some kind of
100
equipment
yards?
hooked up to it. All right, well,
You have to get some
Dave gave us
repeaters.
an hour to record. That was an hour, so I guess we got to call this shindig a wrap.
No rumors.
You'll probably hear from us again, maybe when Sony has their E3 presser and they talk about launch lineups and
That's
stuff.
a good point. If people want to hear us for another special episode, let us know.
Yeah, but if we did, that would be probably what it would be for.
So it's pretty cool. So if you've actually kept this feed going, this is going to automatically appear, which is kind of neat. So surprise!
Yep, it'll be magic. Merry
didn't even really talk about-
belated Christmas to everyone who's just going to see this pop up.
We're like
in their
podcast crashers. We just show up.
What's up? We're here. Party started. Right? No? Okay, we're just going to go now.
I'm still laughing about the people who hacked the or not hacked, but messed with the an image of the PlayStation blog site and turned it into a Harlem Shake video.
Well, did you see that the... did I send you that link? Oh, no, there's a website that you can do. It wasn't hacked. There's a website.
Well, I don't mean hacked, but I mean like they took it and messed around.
You can do that to any website. I think it's hsshake.com, and then it'll ask you for another website's name, and you feed it in, and then you'll view that website, and it does the Harlem Shake, and it's hilarious.
But it was good to talk to you guys again, to talk about the PlayStation stuff. I hope
Absolutely.
people enjoyed the
It's
show.
good to hear from you guys, too.
Aww.
Catch you all on the flip
See
side.
ya.
Wow. Put some Frawlz in your mouth.
You know that's why the show died.
Still? Does that still work? All right. Bye.
You and your ears are quite welcome for the podcasting goodness that you just heard. Why not roll on over to BigRedBarel.com for more podcasts, news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarel.com.